it's time to get started using Adobe Premiere Pro. On a Windows machine, it may already be something which is in your Start button. On a Mac, it might be in your dock, or you might have to use the searchlight option to find it. So let's just open up, and I'm using Premiere Pro CS6 for this tutorial, and give it a chance to load up. Here we go. You'll be presented with a welcome screen, and what you can do here is continue any recent projects, or you can start a new one. So what we're going to do is start a new project. It's going to ask us to name our project from the start, so I'm going to call this a cup of tea, and it's going to want to know where it's going to be saved, and because we're working in a nice tidy structure, we're going to save it in the same place as where all of our other assets and footage is. So go to Browse, direct it to your drive where you keep your projects, direct it to your project folder, mine's called a cup of tea, and I'm going to save my cup of tea project in that same folder. So selected. So it's going to create a project folder file for me called a cup of tea, and it's going to be in my a cup of tea folder. Click OK. The next thing you get might seem a little bit daunting, but what it is a selection of presets. Consider this if you had to buy a photo frame to fit a photo which you have. You're going to want a photo frame the right size for the photo image, and that's exactly what we're doing here. We're choosing a preset which is the size of our footage. So if we shot all our footage on a Sony Z5, we would use a preset in here which is HTV, which is the format which the Sony Z5 shoots in. It will most likely be this one here. If we used a Sony EX1 cam, it would be one of these presets here, whether it be interlaced or progressive. Or if we shot on an SLR camera, we would use one of these here. And the footage which I'm going to import was shot on a Canon SLR, and it was shot at full HD, which is 1080p and 25 frames a second. What this does here is tells you the size and dimensions of this frame, or what a frame rate is. So that way your footage is going to match this setting. If it doesn't match this setting, then your computer's going to work extra hard to try to change things as it's editing, or your footage is not going to come out how you intended it to look. What's important here is if you name your sequence. So again, I'm just going to call this cup of tea edit. I'm going to call it edit 1 because we might make multiple edits of this. Once that's done, I'm going to click OK, and it's going to create a sequence for us which perfectly fits the footage we're about to import. There we go, so we've set up a sequence using Premiere Pro which is going to match our footage.